Before this video starts, I would like to mention that this video is very different from the other types of content I upload. It is completely unscripted and from the bottom of my heart. That being said, please make sure you watch to the end to find out more updates about the channel and where it is going in the future and why I do what I do. Thank you. So, a lot of the time I get asked the question, why do I do what I do? And if you're unfamiliar, what I do is I spend pretty much all of my time trying to help other people and try to inspire people to be the best versions of themselves. Figure out who they are early on without having to hit rock bottom. And my answer to this is always, well, one, I love doing it because it's just something I've always enjoyed, being able to help people, and especially if I can do it by making videos, doing what I love, and also being able to change people's lives. That's, my dream. Another reason I did it is because a lot of people who watch my content are in high school with me or in the same area of high school. So that means that if you've met a typical high schooler, you can tell that they're not the happiest people. A lot of depression in teens is very common, and it is very common for it to end up a lot worse than just depression. I want to say about 5-6 months ago, I was at one of my lowest points. I was very depressed. I didn't really see a point to life. This is before I found YouTube and before I was able to do something with myself, before I knew who I was, and I was actually contemplating and trying to plan out how to commit suicide, and my best friend talked me down from it. The following days I realized that I was just not happy with my life whatsoever. I was sick of staying in bed, I was sick of not being with friends, I was sick of being excited to do something and then 5 minutes later feeling lost and depressed. For me, I feel like what brought me out of my depression is making YouTube videos and being able to help people in that way. Because while I was still helping people before, I was giving a lot more of myself than I was able to, withstand. I was giving so much of myself away that people ultimately took advantage of it and used me and hurt me even further, which in retrospect could have been avoided by me, but the fact that it happened just contributed more to me being depressed. And so, what I tell everybody that I meet who is depressed or lost or don't really know what they want to do with their life is that they have to find themselves before they can do anything in life. For instance, me on YouTube, if I don't know who I am, if I don't know what I really love in life and what makes me get up in the morning, how would I be able to put myself on the internet in front of people every day if I don't understand who I am? The second you start knowing who you are and what makes you happy is the second your life turns around like that. Because not only do you start doing those things that make you happy, overall you just take your mind off of the things that ultimately make you sad. And eventually you get to the point where they don't matter. I mean, the things that were happening before, they still happen. People still try to use me, people still lie to me and cheat on me. But I feel like the second you're mature enough to understand that sometimes there's just nothing you can do about those people, and whatever situation you're in, sometimes they're permanent, sometimes you can't remove them from your life. So you just learn to accept it without letting it bring you down. You learn that's just how it is, but it's not worth letting your life be affected over somebody else's malintent. This was the biggest thing for me to figure out, because as people, and especially as teenagers, we are driven by what other people think. We always seek acceptance, we always seek security, especially among our peers. If our peers don't like it, then we're probably not going to like it. It's just very common for everybody to just fall into what others want them to do rather than what they want to do, which ultimately leads to depression. I'm sharing this with you because I want to help people find who they are and not have to hit rock bottom, because rock bottom ultimately is death, whichever way that is. Being there myself, I wouldn't want to wish that on anyone, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, because I'm not saying you're not accountable for your actions based on what's going on in your life, but there is a lot of influence, especially when depression is in play. take a healthy person who is very happy in life and take a depressed person, who is more likely to be successful in whatever they're doing? The person who is excited to get up and do stuff in the morning, or the person who would rather lock themselves away, not be with anybody, and stay in bed? It all starts with the mental decision that you want to change. The second you recognize that you're not happy with some stuff in your life is the second you can work to change those. And how you do that is you define everything you're not happy with. I had a friend who I'm not going to name who is going through some very serious stuff at the moment. And what I told him to do is list out 10 things you hate about yourself, or your life, or 10 things negatively affecting you. And then write out 10 things that you love about yourself and you love about your life. And while he was doing it, he was very confused, but I was able to sort out what he didn't like or what he thought was very bad in his life and what he did like, and show him that it's all about perspective. It's all about what you think is important. And because of this, I actually have people constantly messaging me about similar things, so this is very normal. This is a very common conversation for me to have, but it's just very different in the same way. Because I guarantee you, even if you're at school, there are people who are going to seem like they have everything together and are happy with their lives, but when they're not having attention drawn on them, that's when it really hits. Everyone looks good in public, but whenever they're alone is where you really get to know them. That star football player everyone thinks is amazing, he may be suffering from super bad anxiety and depression, and you may not even notice because you're focused on the wrong things, or he's focused on the wrong things. My best advice to you is to, if you're going through stuff, to just reach out to people. Reach out to anyone you can, especially your parents, because I guarantee you, even though that they may not agree with everything you do, you're still eating and you're still alive, they have to care about you to some degree. Most of the time, parents have experience. For me, I know that my parents have been through very similar things, and when I was starting to get like this, they noticed, but they didn't really know how to reach out to me. We can't rely on other people to reach out to us. You have to be able to reach out to other people. The second you start relying on other people or other things to change your life, you're going to realize that they're not. You can't rely on the next person, the next relationship to make you happy, because you're relying on that next relationship. That's not their responsibility to make you happy. Relationships should be that both people are happy just being themselves, and then they come together to form a great relationship. And these are all things I've learned by just talking to people, especially health coaches and therapists. At my school, I enrolled in a therapy program because this is when I was doing very, very bad. And it helped me a lot. It's all about opening yourself. The second you start thinking of things about things from other perspectives, other than the very narrow-minded perspective you may have, is the second you start seeing things for how they really are. Depression has a weird way of twisting things, alternating reality. Somebody with depression can see a picture of a child laughing with an ice cream cone and think, I wish I had that. And a person who is healthy can say, that is beautiful, or that they do have that, or that it's nice and they can enjoy that because they can sympathize with it. I can't stress enough about how important perspective is. Perspective allows us to see things from different ways and experience things different ways. Which leads me to my next point. And the journey of trying to find yourself and figure out who you are and what makes you happy is a pretty tough journey. I mean, there's no real bullet list way to find out who you are. It's all about experimentation and optimism. I wrote down a bucket list, and I started doing things on that bucket list that interested me. I even ended up in a Buddhist temple at one point, and while religion isn't my biggest thing in my life, being there and seeing everybody so happy, just living their average lives because they believed in something or because they saw things from different perspective, more taboo path, they were just so happy. And I'm sure there are a lot of different reasons about how they live their life, but the more you experience, the more you understand things. there are millions of things that people can go out there and do, but nobody does them. Because either they're scared their peers will judge them, or they're scared their parents will judge them. I mean, from a recent video that I'm making, it shows that a lot of people are forced to go to college in a way, whether it be by their peers, their school, their teachers, or their parents. A lot of people don't even want to go to college, and the people who do end up going to college usually don't even end up with a job in the relevant field. That's why it is so important to define what you love and define what you want out of life and follow that path. Not tied down by what other people want from you. Because ultimately, the friends you have in high school now that may be toxic, may not be toxic, and 3 or 4 years whenever you're out of high school, they're not going to have any influence on you. It's going to be you. You're going to be alone doing your own thing most of the time. You're going to be working. You're going to be paying bills. You're going to be living and trying to survive. And whenever you're alone, you really realize how much that people's opinions don't matter. I have a friend named Sammy who's homeschooled, and we were even talking about this the other day. She said after high school, not only did she feel a lot happier because she switched from high school to homeschool, she mentioned that a lot of the things that would stress her out or affect her in high school, once she left, realized they don't even matter. You know, all of the drama going on in high school doesn't matter. I feel like that's very important to mention because, like I said before, that's from a different perspective. That's from doing something and experience something to where you can get a perspective and realize how much that we think is true isn't true. I hope this video made a little bit of sense and helped at least somebody. If you ever are dealing with any of these issues, I'd strongly urge you to go see a therapist or at least reach out to somebody. The mental health hotline is in the description below, but if you would feel more comfortable talking to me about it, I would love to have this conversation with you. It is what I enjoy doing, is being able to help people and see them change their lives in front of them. Another thing before this video ends is it is very unclear what my channel is and what I do on this channel, so I would just like to mention that. Right now there's a lot of things being worked on and in play. I'm trying to build the foundation for the channel right now. I feel like it's really important that I define early on what it means, what this channel means to me and why I do it, so that in the future, whenever people are watching it, they can tell, like they can understand what's going on in the videos. And while the channel is a mixture of my own journey and finding myself, it is also going to be a lot of helping other people and seeing what they need and helping them. So definitely stay tuned for that. I have a lot of things I'm working on, a few video series. Videos are going to be coming out a lot slower because I just want to make sure that each video is perfect in its own sense and conveys each message properly. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.